crazy cold, but it's a good day. Why is it a good day? Because I'm going to get pad thai, which really scares me. Okay, I'm a TI, and I'm going to a restaurant. What? A TI going to a restaurant? No, that's unheard of. That's pretty scary, dude. And also, I've known these people at this restaurant. I gave them like 2 ounces of weed once. I was like, I know you guys smoke weed. Here you go. Here's for the staff. I gave them a bunch of shatter. They were like, oh yeah. I was like, yeah. I mean, imagine bringing like a couple ounces of weed, a Ziploc bag crammed full of weed, to a restaurant and saying, here you guys go, you guys are awesome. Imagine the rapport you would need. And then suddenly you think, are these people fucking poisoning the food? Are these people gang stalkers? God damn it. And you're so embarrassed and you're thinking, what have they told them about me? And what are they gonna think if I go to this restaurant and I say, hey look, I'm on the TSDB, and part of that is you have no human rights and it's legal to lie about you. You know, they'd say, well, why would anyone do that? Yeah. I thought the same thing. It took me a while. I mean, I wouldn't have known I'm being gang stalked if it wasn't for the community. I would have thought it was just a random group of stalkers. I wouldn't have thought it was the government doing it. I would have thought too, why would the government do that? If I defend myself against one of these random lone stalkers in a isolated cult group in the neighborhood, the police will have my back. The government will have my back. They're the good guys. Why would they ever hurt me? And so I couldn't understand it myself. And then I had months of explanation of TIs saying, no, it's the fire truck. Look, dude. Yo, see that ambulance right there? That's a gang stalker. And I'm like, no. Here's the one headlight. I'm like, no. And they're like, yes, it's them. I'm like, no, it's not. You're silly. It's not the ambulance driver. You know, ambulance drivers are nice. I once had I don't know if he's a friend. He may have been a gang stalker. There's one headlight over here. He tried to commit suicide, apparently. Took a bunch of pills, gave my ex-girlfriend a suicide note who we lived with. It was very pretentious, you know. He's like, don't expect some Hemingway shit. And so he ran away. We called the ambulance, but he had cerebral palsy, so he couldn't really run very fast. And then he dove down some stairs. So, you know, he just kind of like slid down cement stairs trying to get into a subway. And when the cops came, he was pretty disrespected by the cops. You know, he's frothing at the mouth. He's almost unconscious. He had Suboxone or some kind of pill. I forget what kind of... He was on some kind of prescription medication, and he tried to overdose. Apparently, but if you try and overdose and you say to the people who you're living with, hey, I just took some suicide pills, goodbye, that's basically another way of saying, hey, call for help. And so the police were almost like kicking his body, like almost like, okay, let's see what we got here, you know, like almost like maneuvering him with their foot. And then the ambulance came, and the ambulance was much more respectful, you know, much more respectful. And I thought, I like ambulance drivers much better. You know, I don't like the police, but I like the ambulance here. And then I had another friend who also may have been a gang stalker. And I think, you know, that seems a bit like a real coincidence. But he was always talking about killing himself. And one time he texted me that he just had taken a bunch of pills. What should I do? And I said, well, call the police, call the ambulance. And then another time, he called me really angry. He's like, can you help me? And I was like, yeah, like, what do you want? He's like, wrong, you're lying, you can't help me. And he was gonna kill himself. I think he went to see some girl. and she didn't like him or something. He had a long distance relationship, and he was cheating on his wife actually, and so he went to see this affair that he was having online, and she ended up not liking him, so he called me and he was gonna kill himself. He was really angry at me. He's like, "You fucking liar, you can't help me." And I was like, and he was in some other, in some other province. He was in like, I don't remember where it was, but it was far away. So I call the RCMP, and I'm like, "Yeah, I have this friend," and I'm like, I don't even know his name. I've known him for years. I know his nickname, and he has one of those foreign names, like he's from another country. I don't know his fucking, you can't expect me to know his gobbledygook name. That sounds like a bunch of consonants put together. And so the officer on the phone, he's like, "Okay, so you don't even know the guy's name?" And I'm like, "Well, I know his I know his nickname." And he's like, "You've known him for years and you don't know his name?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's right. I don't know his fucking phone number either, because it's in my phone, and am I supposed to, anyways." And this guy was really temperamental. I think he may have been a gang stalker. One time he just showed up with I don't even want to talk about this guy. He really scared me. He was one of the scariest guys. But anyway, he just showed up one time at a family member's house, uninvited, very scary, after telling me he had a gun. But anyways, the RCMP was like, "This is a very serious crime that you're committing, like pretending like someone's killing themselves." And I was like, "Yeah, well, okay, investigate me, do whatever. Like, this is happening." And then, so then they give me a call back, and they're like, "We found the guy you're talking about, and we have him in the hospital." Something like that. "We found him, we can confirm." And then there was another time too, that first time I just mentioned a few moments ago, when he texted me, he's like, "I just took some pills, what should I do?" And he's laughing. He's like, "Lol, I'm like, there's stuff coming out of my mouth or something." And then he sent me I talked to a mutual friend, and I was like, "Oh my God." And he's like, "Yeah, he does this all the time. Like, I don't even care anymore." And I'm like, "Oh, that's so calloused." And he's like, "Dude, if he's gonna kill himself, he's gonna kill himself. Like, I'm not being taken hostage by this guy anymore." And I kind of felt like that. Like, he would talk to me sometimes, like, very indifferently on the phone. He'd be like, saying he's gonna hurt himself, and then he would just be like, as if he's like cooking or something, and he's not really listening to me. Kind of like, "Yeah, I can just like put the phone down, and you're just gonna stay here and talk to me, because there's nothing you can do." Like, I really felt like, even in the moments of his gestures of self-harm, that he was actually power tripping. And I told him once, because he had a family, and I was like, "Dude, that's like really cowardly. Like, you're just gonna kill yourself? Like, that's like really cowardly." And he's like, "You think I don't know that? Like, are you fucking insane?" Like, he got so angry. He's like, "Do you think I haven't considered everything that you're saying?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess you've considered it." And then he's just like barely even talking to me on the phone sometimes, like, and I'm like sitting there like, "Okay, are you okay?" And he sends me a picture of himself in the hospital room where they kept him for a couple days. And his wife was apparently really bad. Like, she beat him, and she was really terrible, and it was like an arranged marriage. And so I stopped talking to him, because he actually really scared me. His temper was so volcanic that eventually I was scared of saying something wrong around him or something. He was just too, and I always felt like he was vaguely threatening me. Like, he'd say, "Guess how far my laser pointer goes?" Just kind of after an argument or something, after he's angry. "Hey, do you want to know how far my laser pointer could see?" And the association that would be raised in my head would be that he has some kind of a sniper rifle or something. I don't know, just got some bad vibes. So today is going to the restaurant day. I normally go with my mom, and I get her to go in for me because I actually don't want to see the people who work at this restaurant as well, because it's just embarrassing. Who knows what they've told them about me. I pretty much reacted very volatilely, very publicly. I had a very public meltdown when the gang stalking first started. And for someone who doesn't understand the context, that would appear as if I was just kooky, kooky and aggressive. And so I worry they're gonna say, hey, I've been going there for 20 years. They're gonna say, hey, it's been a long time. Yeah, you went totally nuts, didn't you? You're that sex trafficker, right? Right. Okay. Yeah, we spit in your food real good, or something. It's scary for me. And then I was watching this video by this guy named Tuapri, who I think he's gang stalked. I mean, he's swarmed in the comments, and he used to be a famous auditor, police auditor, and he'd make a fool out of the police all the time. And so I saw him going to a restaurant, and I'm like, okay, if he can go to a restaurant, so can I. Because he'll be spitting in his food too, or something. And I'm also afraid they're going to make it bad. And here's the other thing too. So the same thing is with this restaurant as it is with other places. There's a one headlighter in the distance over there too. Like, for example, going to the market. If I go to the market tomorrow to get fruit, I've been talking to these Mennonites and these employees at the market for years, and I sent them a messed up email one time. I was like, I said I'm in love with you guys. Now, was I really in love with them? No. Why did I send that? I sent them a message after saying, I have mental illness. I'm sorry. I don't mean that. Like, clearly I'm not in love with you. Like, we're just acquaintances. We're like a business relationship. And they never responded. It was kind of weird. I think they're gang stalkers. And I think that was why I sent it to begin with. I didn't know what gang stalking was back then. Or maybe I was just learning about it. I don't know, but I may have been trying to talk as if I wasn't being gang stalked in order to seem relatable. Like, my internal dialogue was, I've been fucked with, and I kind of thought you guys were in on it, so I said that I was in love with you because it was just matching the absurdity that I thought was coming from you, or because I was just genuinely traumatized. I was like, why are you stalking me? It's kind of like a Stockholm syndrome. Like yes, Kim Jong-un, I worship you. You're part of the people who are doing this to me, so let me just say good things about you to appease you. And then I tried to backtrack, like, yeah, no, I know gang stalking doesn't exist. I was just mentally ill. Sorry about that. Oops. But really, now I'm like, I think they might actually be gang stalkers. I'm pretty sure. Well, why do I think that? Because they had a really loud truck running one of the previous times I was there. Also because there is our neighbors are gang stalkers who work at that market, and there's the apple stand where I get my fruit from, and there's a Mennonite girl who works in the same kiosk as the gang stalking neighbors, and she has come to the apple stand when I've been at the apple stand, and it just seemed very coordinated. And I'm basically sure that one of the girls at the apple stand texted the girl who works with the neighbor to come out when I was at the apple stand. And so it all seems kind of interconnected. I think there's like an interconnection of gang stalkers who work at the market. And so that's pretty disturbing for me. Like, that's kind of embarrassing for me because of my own meltdown, because of the own ways that I've acted a fool. And also just because, you know, no one wants to go where they're not liked. And so if people are like, yeah, we hate you over here, you know, that's kind of embarrassing. So today is kind of like a practice. Like, if I go to the market tomorrow, like, today is like my practice. Like, I'm going to go see people who are potentially gang stalking me, and I'm going to get over myself so I can just do that. Okay, so that was kind of weird what just happened. The last time I went to this restaurant, I went with my mom, you know, because I normally get her to go with me, so then they think that it's for her, so they don't spit in it. And also because I've just been embarrassed to see the employees there. And it was way too spicy last time. We've been going there for like 20 years about, and it was like, it's way spicier than normal. And so we called back and they're like, yeah, it's spicy, it's Thai food, what do you think? What do you expect, obviously? And we're like, no, we've been going there for 20 years, dude. Like, it's way spicy this time. You know, we're like masters of using chopsticks because of going to your restaurant. We've been going there for like 2 times a month for the last 20 years. Anyways, so they refund it. They say, okay, next time just ask for less spicy. So I asked for less spicy tonight. And we also got the order remade for free last time too. And as I go into the pickup, she's on the phone with someone and she's saying, and remember, I get pad thai every time, and last time it was pad thai that was too spicy, and she's saying she's talking to some phantom on the phone, some staged act, or it's just a real gang stalker calling, or the coincidence of the century, but I don't think so. She's saying, yeah, the pad thai is spicy, you have to ask for not spicy, there's nothing we can do, I'm sorry. And and basically she's just reiterating it, like she goes over it like, you know, for like a minute or two, like I'm just standing there waiting, and she keeps saying, yeah, but the pad thai is really spicy. Next time you come in, just ask for the pad thai not to be so spicy. And it seemed kind of like directed conversation. Now I thought, let me just pause for a minute. The fact that I'm trying to get around being gang stalked at the restaurant because I'm especially nervous about it, that's like very alerting to the gang stalkers. Like they're going to make very specially certain to say, oh, you thought you could get away with going to a restaurant that you're not being gang stalked at? No, we're going to really show you. That's one of the ways, if you want to really get the gang stalkers to show their face, say, oh, I really hope there's no gang stalkers up here. Oh, I'm about to go to this special event. It would really ruin it for me if the gang stalkers were there. Okay, then you know for sure they're going to be there. And I thought, how great would it be if the extent of the gang stalking was just some directed conversation? Wouldn't that be so cool? Now I might ought to get some bubbly or something. I don't know. I'm afraid even to leave the pad thai in the car. You know, they'd probably have someone right beside our car. One time they had someone laying on the ground beside our car. Could you imagine that? And I've seen that in videos too, of other TIs, and they'll have a gang stalker literally lying in the parking lot on the pavement, right next to a certain car. And I don't know if it was I saw that at least once. I don't know if it was a random car or what it was. This guy looks nuts as fuck. But they've had a gang stalker lying literally right next to our car, as if they were saying, hey, look, we're tampering with it, we're doing something here. And that's one of the reasons why I really super duper ooper appreciate the TIs I watch on YouTube. You know, especially the ones who haven't turned into weird freaks. The ones who are still cool and collected. And half the time they don't even mention it when the gangstalkers do something. Damn it, I think my TLC tugger's about to fall off. That's bad news. Could go to the bathroom. Damn, this really sucks. Yeah, it fell off. Everything about this sucks right now. I have no drawstring in my track pants. This is my cone, it fell off. I have my pockets loaded with stuff. And the only thing that's keeping the top part of my TLC tugger on right now is the muscles in my foreskin. And that part is about to fall off too. And all of this is for some bubbly. Could you pick a more retarded place to have your powwow? Could you pick a more retarded place to do your powwow? Could that be conceivable? If I want to pick the most retarded place to do my powwow dance, I couldn't pick a more retarded place. But whatever, you know, I'm just kind of acting here. I'm not actually angry. I'm pretty proud of myself, really. Now, the other thing about getting fruit is fruit's actually really difficult to eat. Fruit is actually more difficult than fasting, because with fasting you're drinking 6 liters a day with 827. Are you kidding me? What are you, crazy? That's so insane. 827. What are you, fucking nuts? What are you, fucking insane? You think I'm gonna spend $8 on bubbly? What are you, silly? Okay. Barely get this going on here. My pants really need a drawstring. Okay, I'm sticking with just pad thai. So eating, you know, it would be like probably 15 apples a day, plus drinking 6 liters of water a day. That's actually really, really difficult. Crazy difficult. It's so difficult that I'd say to myself pretty quick, oh yeah, you should have just stuck with water fasting, dude. I don't know if I could do it. But you know, I've tried water fasting so many times, and I've failed so many times that, you know, I don't like the lethargy. Now, I do have that when I eat fruit, too. It'll actually force me to have a nap. Man, this fucking sucks over here. Huge lineup all of a sudden. It's like they just swarm in. All for bubbly. But oh well. And then eating apples too is really monotonous. Eating nothing but apples. But they're the only things that are picked while they're ripe, so otherwise than the monotony, it's the easiest because they give you the most energy. And there'd probably be a maybe a 7 or 8 day break-in period where for the first day at least, very difficult to eat that much, very tiring. But then after about the 5th day, there's sort of like a wave of energy that comes up where the power of fruit compels you. And, you know, there's not that much of a lethargy while water fasting too, actually. You know, I do have quite a bit of energy water fasting, but not that much. I mean, it's nothing compared to fruit. Before I knew I was being gangstalked, when everyone would be scratching their face and whatnot, I thought it was a mating symbol, like how monkeys will be groomed by each other. Apparently, too, if you read anything about dating, they'll say that when someone scratches their head or something, it's like a mating call. Like they want you to groom them, basically. This guy's famous. That guy in the motorized scooter, he's actually famous. His name is Ricky Berwick. You can Google him. I think he has like maybe 1 million subscribers. Yeah, he's kind of funny, I guess. He's mad, he's genuinely famous. Like, he's done YouTube collaborations with people you'll have heard of. You won't have heard of him, but you'll have heard of the people who he's done collabs with. Okay, so... Oh, and here's the other thing, too. Here's the thing about health, like not jacking off. Now, I do like Ricky Berwick. He has kind of like a sexual humor, like... Here's my impression of Ricky Berwick. Okay, I just made some cupcakes. They're really moist. Yeah, I like the moist ones. Yeah. Okay, that's his whole shtick. Like the moist ones. Yeah. And okay. So I think he has a hot girlfriend too. I think she has cerebral palsy. Now, Ricky Berwick probably has cerebral palsy, I think. And, I mean, you could see him in that chair and that... I don't know what he has. But remember how in the beginning of this video, I talked about that one person who I lived with who had cerebral palsy, who tried committing suicide? Now, could that be Ricky Berwick gang stalking me? There's a hell of a lot of TIs who say, you start watching a YouTube channel, even one that's pretty famous, you're gonna notice they're stalking you. And that's one of the first things, apparently, that the doctors will ask you if they think you're crazy. They'll say, do you think that the TV's talking to you? Do you think you're being watched inside your home? Do you think there's like people out to get you? You know, like, and think about how many celebrities endorsed the 2019 mass murder or the genocide in Gaza. Like, there's the majority of people do not like the genocide in Gaza. But look at all the celebrities. They're like, yeah, we like it. Like they're trying to normalize it. Like it ain't no thing but a chicken wing. Is that plausible that could be Ricky Berwick stalking me? Just because I mentioned cerebral palsy? I had sex with a girl with cerebral palsy once. But anyways, the thing about not jacking off and about eating healthy is something big will happen. Like the last time I got like over 1,000 views on one of my videos, I was not jacking off. And it was, moderately well received. It got swarmed by gang stalkers. That was pretty difficult. But I also had the power of health to help me as well. So I feel like if I get healthier by whatever means, by fruit, by not jacking off, by exercise, I feel like my aura, my energetic field will increase and something bigger will happen. I really feel like without pretending like I'm Nostradamus or something, I really feel like it's a very cut and dry thing. Like change your frequency, increase your energetic aura, and something bigger will happen. I might have the energy to make more songs, or I don't know what it is. It always comes like that. It always comes like, oh, I didn't expect that, but there it is. And then after, I have the hindsight to go, yeah, that's what it was. Now this guy right here, he was one of the first people I thought was gang stalking me. He was reading a book at a bus stop. And I went out to the bus stop and I said, how much is it for the bus? And he's like, oh, it's $3.50. And I said, okay, and then I just walked away back to my house, making it very obvious that I was just there to kind of interrogate him. And I felt bad about that. Now he just walked in front of me, scratched his head. So I would like to go for a bike ride. Might go for a bike ride tonight. The other thing about getting fruit is I can take a little break if I want to. One day I can just eat fruit, not drink any water, not be bound to the house to pee all the time. But fruit is, I think, more difficult. Osho says if you have two alternatives, take the more difficult route. And I think eating fruit plus drinking 6 liters a day, I think that is the more difficult route. And it might take like a month or something to get the old waste out. Anyway, so thanks for the company. I was a bit in a happy mood today to make this video. Now, do you believe in coincidence? Like, I talked about cerebral palsy, and that's why, not without anything to do with gang stalking, that's why I saw Ricky Berwick? Because something in the energy of the cosmos picked up on it? Psychically? Do you think we're all psychically linked? You know, like you call someone, and then you join the same energetic frequency as them, and then you suddenly see them later on? I think things like that happen. Anyways, thanks for watching. Toodaloo.